Warning, this podcast contains spoilers for Season 1 of Yellowjackets on Showtime and Season 3, Episode 4 of The Mandalorian. Hello, my name is Jason Concepcion.
And I'm Rosie Knight.
And welcome to X-Ray Vision, the Crooked Media podcast where we dive deep in your favorite shows, movies, comics, and pop culture.
On this episode, I will be doing a super speedy Yellowjackets Season 1 recap before the premiere of Season 2 on Showtime. In the Airlock, we will be walking onto that very dangerous lake again for Season 3, Episode 4 of The Mandalorian. And we've got the baby with us! He's here! A celebrity! A theory from Sean that seeks to answer another listener's theory from our March 10th episode on The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2. Thank you. I'm loving this listener theory
It's
conversations
good.
we're inspiring here.
As always, if you want to jump around, check out the show notes for the timestamps. They may be inaccurate. We're working on that, but check them out anyway. Coming up, previously on. All right, first up, we're going to be covering, first of all, Yellowjackets Season 2 on this show. A fantastic first season. Catch up with it if you haven't. If you have, may I now introduce, at the starting line, Rosie Knight for the speed recap of Season 1 of Yellowjackets on the beleaguered Showtime network.
Okay, forgive me if the episodes are incorrect. I did this from memory. Episode 1. In the wilds of the woods, we see a young girl running through the forest screaming. She's chased down and killed. We then see a group of hooded figures feasting on meat. Could it be human? Dun, dun, dun.
Duh.
And then, in New Jersey, 1996, a girls' high school soccer team head off to nationals, but their plane tragically crashes. In the present, we meet some of the survivors. Shauna, an unsatisfied housewife. Nat, a recovering addict. Misty, a very creepy caregiver, and Ty, an aspiring politician. When they begin to receiving strange blackmail notes about their time in the woods, they must band together. Episode 2. As the girls try to survive the wreckage in 1996, Misty, an unpopular girl in her high school, suddenly rises to the top of the wilderness hierarchy thanks to her uncanny survivalist skills. Seems good, but quickly takes a dark turn when she purposefully smashes the black box because she wants to keep being popular, condemning them to what we now know as 19 months in the wild. In the present, Shauna rear ends a very hunky and enigmatic man named Adam, while Nat confronts Misty, suspecting she is behind the blackmail. When Misty claims her innocence, the pair become a unexpected buddy couple and go off to uncover the truth. In episode 3, that quest turns tragic when Misty and Nat try to locate Travis, one of the other survivors of their time in the wilderness, but they soon discover he's already dead, sets Nat on a spiral, and Taisa's political campaign is suddenly hit with smears about her time in the forest, and to make things worse, her son starts to see weird visions. In the 90s, the girls find a cabin, hopeful, but it's already inhabited by a dead body.
Oh, no!
Oh, no! Terrible, terrible, terrible. Episode 4. Relationships are beginning to bloom. Nat and Travis cement their romance.
Aww.
Shauna takes Harvey under her ring. Tysa and Van find space to continue their illicit lesbian affair. Love that for them. And Lottie and the religious Laura Lee start to make a strange spiritual connection that's going to end badly for everyone. In the future, Shauna and Adam begin an affair, speaking of things that are going to end badly for everyone, and Tysa gets offered a massive political donation, but to get it, she would have to spill the beans on what happens in the woods. She rightfully says, fuck you, and it doesn't happen. Episode 5, nature takes its course in the forest, and all the girls' periods sync up. There is one exception, though. Shauna, who's revealed to be pregnant with her best friend, Jackie's boyfriend, Jeff. It's his baby, and now Shauna's married to him. That's fucked up. In the modern day, Tysa begins to see visions of wolves, and Shauna and Jeff struggle with their marriage. And we learn Misty has been spying on Shauna. Misty's criminal ways.
Misty, you crazy lady, you.
Well, she's getting crazier because guess what? She kidnaps a journalist who was asking questions.
That's okay.
Yeah, but then she ties her up in her bedroom and poisons her. And it turns out she's not a journalist at all. She's actually a PI hired by Taisa to check that her friends wouldn't spill.
I tell you, Misty's ways, seemingly random and crazy, but they all work out in the end.
They all work out. Look, Misty's the secret hero the Yellowjackets need. But in 1996, she's poisoning assistant coach Ben to keep him weak and close. So
I get it.
A mark against her there. Episode 6, In 1996, Lottie's connection to the supernatural continues to grow after a seance that leads her to believe she's possessed. We also learn she's had precognitive visions before that came true. Laura Lee baptizes Laurie, and in the future, Misty continues to keep Jessica hostage. Nat tries to find out what happens to Travis. Ty realizes her son isn't having visions. Good news. Bad news is it's her. Ty has been climbing into the tree in a very creepy fashion. Episode 7, the crew tries to catch their blackmailer. It doesn't work, but they do cover him with glitter, which will become important soon. In 1996, Ty leads a group of girls to try and get potential freedom from the forest, but they get attacked by wolves, and one of the wolves apparently kills Van. Lottie sort of foresaw the violence with a strange vision, so people start to believe she's supernaturally inclined and start to follow her, and we go to episode 8. Good news, Van's alive. Woo! Bad news, she wakes up already on a funeral pyre. She's not happy about it.
Check the pulse, people.
She's literally like, fire, are you kidding me?
Check the pulse.
So Van's survival and Jackie's reveal that Shauna is pregnant. She knows that it's Jeff is the father. It inspires Laura Lee to fix up an old plane, try and fly out. Probably should have done that sooner, just gonna say, but okay. Sadly, looks like it's all going well. Explodes over the lake. R.I.P. to Laura Lee, but to Lottie, it's a sign. The forest doesn't want them to leave. Episode 9.
It might have just been a very, very old plane.
It was an old plane! But you know what I will say? In the episode, it's very ominous. The teddy bear sets on fire. But yeah, it's bad times. Episode 9 is Doom's coming, baby. It's Doom's coming. To celebrate the homecoming they never got to have, the girls throw a wild wilderness party. But thanks to a mix-up with Misty's magic mushrooms, they all get extremely high, non-consensually, it's an accident, and end up almost raping and killing Travis. Speaking of non-consensual, they're stopped by Nat, and it was Shauna who was going to slit Travis's throat. In the modern day, she gets to finish that job, not to Travis, but to her poor boo Adam, who she guts after becoming suspicious that he may be their blackmailer. No. Very unrealistic and bad choice there, Shauna, but sure. So she kills her. Shauna then soon immediately realizes, either this episode or next, that it was actually Jeff, her husband, who was the blackmailer. Dun, dun, dun. Episode 10, she decides to set up Adam, gets her friends to chop up the body. Misty, of course, knows how to do this because that's the kind of thing she's into. And she covers for Jeff. And the pair of them kind of find their romance reignited. It's very fucked up. Those two have got some issues. She then goes off to the school reunion with the girls. They have a very fun kind of time there. Shauna threatens people that she's going to kill them if they tell about Jeff's blackmail. But things are not going well. Season ends badly for everyone. Jackie doesn't survive her night outside in the snow after the girls force her to sleep out there. She dies.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. to Jackie. In the future, the news reports on the fact that Adam is missing, and Shauna, Jeff, and their daughter Callie realize, oh fuck. Ty wins her election.
Good news.
Bad news. Looks like she did some kind of weird blood sacrifice with her dog to get it, which her wife finds in the apartment. So she's now in the probably Lottie's cult follower part. Misty kills Jessica with a poison cigarette. We'll just say she did tell Jessica to stop smoking. If Jessica hadn't smoked the cigarette, she wouldn't have died. And Nat is kidnapped moments before killing herself and moments before she can receive a phone call that reveals that Lottie is alive and she wiped Travis's bank account before he died.
Season 2 of Yellowjackets begins streaming on March 26th on, once again, the beleaguered Showtime network. We will be covering that show every Wednesday, I believe, here on the X-Ray Vision program. Up next, The Mandalorian. We're stepping out of the airlock and into the Mandalorian training grounds for Season 3, Episode 4 of The Mandalorian on Disney+. The episode titled Chapter 20, The Foundling, written by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and directed by the legend himself, Carl Weathers.
You son of a bitch!
Let's start with the recap. So, we're outside of the Armorer's cave. The Mandalorian covert is putting itself through some rigorous training. And let's just stop for a moment and give a real big pat on the back to whoever the Mandalorian recruiter is. Because, let me tell you, folks, the Mandalorian covert is growing in an exponential pace.
There is at least 10 times as many as there was last time. And they've all got armor.
They were like a D4 school, now they're like a D1. I don't know what they're offering these recruits. I don't know where the Beskar is coming from.
But something's happening.
Something is happening, and you can really feel the momentum, folks. And they're out there just fighting. Bo-Katan is kind of like strolling around, taking it all in. The Mandalorians are like hitting each other with fists, with staves, with knives. They're shooting flamethrowers at each other. They're shooting blaster bolts just like over the open lake and throwing grenades into the lake. Things live in there, folks. What are we doing?
I would say.
Yeah.
I don't think they've learned their lesson. I think one of the lessons that we've kind of been talking about a lot about the Mandalorians is this is a culture that is so focused on war and weaponry as like their main kind of mission. And I feel like the first thing they do when they get these new recruits is to once again start training them for battle. Seems like it's a bad idea.
Just throwing thermal detonators into the lake. Grogu sits nearby taking it all in. Originally, I thought he was like force arranging rocks, but then
it's definitely, you're meant to think it's that classic force joke of like you're moving the rocks. And I think Grogu maybe thinks that's what he's doing, but then there's a really cute reveal.
But then it turns out that they are all crabs. Yeah. And then I think Grogu certainly probably wants to eat
He
the
thinks
crabs.
he's going to eat it, but Din comes over and he's like, no.
Din comes over and is like, Grogu, you're up, okay? Everybody's getting put through their paces. It's your turn to get put through your paces with some light sparring with one of the other foundlings. The referee of this particular bout is like, this kid is too small. He's a baby. This kid is 10 inches tall. Are we sure about this? But Din is like, don't worry about it. I've seen him in real action, like do real stuff. He can handle it. Let the baby cook. The challenger, who I'm assuming is the boy from episode 1.
I was thinking that, but then like there's also like a thing here about like later on about who his father is. So it's unclear. It's another child. That is what we will say.
A young child Mandalorian gets challenged, and as the challenged, gets to pick weaponry. And it's like, well, I don't think that kid can even like hold a gun, so I'm going to go guns. And then he asks Din, why doesn't he wear a helmet? He is too young to speak the creed, Din says, and therefore is too young to wear a helmet. Then he's too young to fight. I think it's a good point, but again, let the baby cook.
Let the baby cook. Look, also as well, as we will point out many times in this episode, we're starting to learn that the rules about the Mandalorians are very blurry. They're not 100% sure what's going on with the creed or the helmet or anything else.
It's really the one rule is helmet. Yeah. Keep it on around other people. Everything else is kind of Calvin ball. Like stuff's moving around a lot. So the training guns come out, and it's like these little like paint dust, little wrist
shoot
blasters.
Out of like the darts that we've seen Din use.
Bo-Katan very lovingly straps it onto Grogu's wrist in a very, very almost matronly, motherly fashion. Each contestant has 3 shots, and now, here is a great example of exactly what you're saying. The way the referee explained the rules, it seemed to me it was going to be like, okay, round 1, go. And each would get 1 shot to shoot at each other. But that's not how it went. No. So they went round 1. And the challenger shoots Grogu right in the chest with a little paintball. Okay, round 2. Challenger shoots Grogu in the chest with a little paintball.
Yeah, it's kind of more like a duel or something. I don't know. The rules are unclear.
And then Din is like, gives him a little pep. You know, it's like, time out, coach. Oh, time out. Woo! Come here, kid. And then is like, listen, you can do it. I know what you can do. I've seen you force choke people. I've seen you do all the real shit. Well, this is my favorite part.
He's like, I've seen it. I know what you can do. Show him what you can do. And I'm thinking like, this baby's going to force choke a child. Like,
I really thought that was going to happen.
Don't encourage that. Like, what are you talking about? But no. It's Grogu's other impressive trick that the puppeteers are very happy to show us.
He's leveling up that flip. So Grogu does a forward flip into a back flip, lands exactly where he took off, and then triple shots the kid right in the chest. Now, again, this seems like it would be against the rules. Like, I thought it was 1 shot per round, but okay.
Also, as well, I was like trying to work it out. I was kind of like, so would they be okay with him flipping? Because like the kid will one day have a jetpack, or they can just see that it's valuable to have a Force user. It did feel unfair though.
I gotta say, the Mandalorians are kind of rednecks.
They don't know what's going on.
They're just out here like throwing blaster shots over the lake at nothing.
Yeah, also still by that same lake. Can we please recall what happened last time they were at this lake? A giant alligator, like Lake Placid style alligator, came out and absolutely demolished them. And like, they didn't think just like be in the cave, train on the hills. They're going to find out it was a bad choice.
So 3 points to the winner, our winner Grogu. Bo is like, did you teach him that to Din? And Din says, not me. Of course, it was Luke Skywalker. Ever heard of that guy?
I think it rings a bell.
Yeah. Shortly thereafter, the challenger who lost and is probably so humiliated that he lost to a 10-inch tall 53-year-old baby gets swallowed by a bird, by like a pterodactyl-looking bird that just swoops down, scoops the kid up,
Yeah, it's like
and
a
flies
dragon,
away.
pterodactyl bird. It's terrifying. And again, seems like you probably shouldn't be chilling in this one spot, especially when we find out this is not the first time.
We'll get to that. I think did we choose the right planet? I don't know. The Mandalorians are like, okay, we got to go after this bird. Good choice. But they start running out of gas. Paz Vizsla runs out of gas chasing the bird. What's happening, guy?
He's just chilling like on he's like just chilling on the cliff. He's like, oh, I ran out of gas. Oh no. I'm like, did you not check before you went? Like, do you have more gas? And if so, why did you not fill up beforehand?
Luckily, Bo-Katan has a full-on spaceship.
Oh yeah, she's like, absolutely not.
And she follows the bird all the way back to its lair, aka its nest. And she comes back and she's like, hey, I know where the nest is. And a search party is arranged. But they're not going to leave until the morning, apparently, the next day. So it's going to be a full, like, we'll say it's like 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah.
Until they set out. And there are certain rules because this bird is very canny. And we understand, as you said, Rosie, that this is like at least the second time that the bird has snatched someone.
Oh, the bird never brings them back. And I'm like, my guy, what do you mean? Like, this happened to you before?
We need to take precautions.
How many Mandalorians are there that you're just willing to sacrifice one? I know you're doing a good job at recruiting, but please, this is
maybe
dangerous.
that's what happened to the boy from the first episode. I got eaten by the bird.
R.I.P. to every Mandalorian that got eaten by this bird or killed by a giant alligator.
So they huddle together because, again, they do have some experience with this bird, seeing as how it has been eating various members of their tribe for X amount of weeks. So they're like, okay, well, we can't use jetpacks around it because it'll hear it and it'll eat the kid. Okay, so no jetpacks. So that means how are we going to get up to the nest? Aha, the armorer is like, I'm going to get you the extra long grapnels out of store. I'm going to go back into the storage closet and get the really long grapnel cables.
And Bo's also like, by the way, I just used to casually climb mountains like this when I was training, so don't worry about it. Which also begs the question, there wasn't one other Mandalorian who was trained that way who could have climbed the mountain to get back whichever kid got fed before? Problems in the Mandalorian organization.
That was a very Star Wars line from Bo, very like, oh, I used to bomb womp rats. Like that kind of.
And it's true, like in some of the greater like expanded books, especially like the Princess Leia book by Claudia Gray, which I love, you learn about the kind of challenges that royalty have to often go through and these kind of trials they do. But yeah, I thought it was really funny. She was just like, I can climb up there, no worries.
Yeah, don't worry
and the armorer's like, great, I got a grappling hook for you. Those went really well. Really well. We used them last time for the alligator.
So they all fly off in Bo's ship. And that leaves Grogu and the armorer to just kind of chill. And so the armorer is like, Grogu, you're too young to go on this mission. Unfortunately, you're 10 inches tall. You are 53 years old, but a baby still.
You can do a flip, but like that's not that impressive.
Yeah, that's not that good. So come back with me into the armory and let's just have a chat.
I want to say, I feel like for Grogu, I know he loves Din, but I feel like there he is. Look at him. Exactly. I just want to say, I feel like he didn't want to, like, he didn't choose the Jedi way. And because he was probably sick of all the training, he just likes to, like, sleep and eat. And I feel like she's like, she's like, you got to learn all these Mandalorian ways. And he's probably like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, I'm not sure if I'm really into that. Like, Jedi training's intense, but Mandalorian training's, like, stupider and intense, but it's actually okay because he doesn't really have to get trained. He just has to get a cool gift from the armorer.
It's kind of like Skyrim where you can join multiple guilds.
That's
kind of like what Grogu is doing. Like he's in the Jedi Guild already. He has the Force, and has gotten training from the very, very best.
From Fanciest Man.
So now let's get some Mandalorian training. So they go into the forge, and then the armorer is like, this is the forge. This is the heart of Mandalorian culture. I think Grogu's got it. But by the way, like, armorer, we got it. Grogu's been here a little while.
Also, let's be real, Grogu's already wearing, like, a sick chainmail.
Yeah, that's kind of 101.
He understands. He knows what's going on.
That's definitely, like, Mando pre-101.
He's seen the helmet.
He knows that much of it. Also, there's only one room. There's only one structure here at base camp.
Everyone else is out on the beach getting eaten.
It's literally just the forge. Like, you don't have to explain the one place that there is. And then so the Grogu looks on as the armorer is hammering out some Beskar plate, and the armorer's talking about like how Beskar comes from donations. Like all the members of the tribe go out and they find different little bits of Beskar and they bring it back. And then the sound of the pounding, the hammering seems to really have Grogu upset. And I got to tell you, this is the most emotionally like vulnerable and raw puppet of all time.
I'm
because
telling you, he's putting the Muppets out of business. I'm believing it.
Armorer, fucking stop hammering.
You are upsetting the baby. You are giving him PTSD, or
Mm.
you are awakening the PTSD he already has from Order 66.
Look at the baby, Armorer. What's wrong
crying.
with you? And we see this look of real sadness and grief, and then pain crossing over Grogu's face. And then all of a sudden, we are back at the night of Order 66 in Grogu's memories. There's a bunch of Jedi that are trying to hold off the clone troopers. They're getting gunned down. Clone troopers, the hammering that Grogu is hearing is the clone troopers hammering through this door, and they get it open. And the Jedis manage to spirit Grogu into an elevator really quickly, and they send it down. And when it stops, there's a Jedi there waiting for him. And it's our friend, Kelleran Beck, played by the one and only Ahmad Best, a.k.a. Jar Jar Binks.
And the crowd goes wild.
Kelleran Beck, the sabered hand, carries two lightsabers, and boy, can he use them quite well, because he makes very short work of this Clone Wars.
And I think this is really important on two levels. One, because it's not like a character people know, it might feel a little bit anticlimactic, but this is an answer to the big question that we've been asking, which is who saved Grogu?
Who saved Grogu?
I love that they gave this to Ahmed. He's been through so much because of
very open about
the trials and tribulations of being involved in Star Wars and what it did to him. And I've loved to see him kind of being brought back into the Lucasfilm fold, first with some really fun like quiz shows he was doing with kid stuff, and now to see him be the one who saved the child, arguably like the most important role and biggest answer in this question, and to get to be a badass Jedi.
It's pretty great.
It was really cool.
So Kelleran gets Grogu on a speeder, and they fly off through the skyline of Coruscant. Troopers in pursuit, and it's a wonderful dogfight. The chase enters a train tunnel with Kelleran playing chicken with the train. He wins, and then he tells Grogu, who is obviously quite panicked by all of this, hey, don't worry, we're going to meet up with some friends of mine, and then crash land on a platform floating above the city. And the people that Kelleran is there to meet are some soldiers from Naboo.
Yeah.
So Naboo is involved. There's a lot of Naboo in this series, what with the ship and with
the prequels. It's very prequels-y.
It feels like we're going to, wherever we're heading is going to involve Naboo in some form or fashion, and certainly it certainly appears that Grogu's history is going to intersect with Naboo somehow. But as soon as they land there to get Grogu on this ship with the Naboo guardsmen, the clone troopers find them. Now there's a big firefight, and Beck and Grogu get on the Nabooian ship, and they head for hyperspace. Grogu comes out of his reverie after, his memory basically ends as they're in that hyperspace tunnel. He comes out of it. The armorer completely oblivious to this.
She's just still yammering on about this is the way.
Here's all the hey Grogu, all the shit that you've heard before. I'm just still talking about.
I'm making you some armor.
Did you know? Hey, Grogu, did you know that Mandalorians wear Beskar armor?
Do you know what Beskar is?
Right, and did you know that we make it here in the Forge, which, by the way, is the heart of
I'm
Mandalorian.
the armor. I make
That's
it.
me.
And she's
I'm the
melting
one that
it.
And then she tells him about the tithing, the act of donating. And then she makes him this cute little chest plate. And then I think it needs a strap, but apparently I'm not an armorer.
I'm
so
like, is it
I'm
magnetic? Does it just
I don't
chill
do this for a living.
on the chest? I feel like it's a very weighted moment. We see Grogu's armor growing, but also I'm like, at some point somebody's going to get shot and that's going to be what saves him. But it was very here it is. It has
Chekhov's
the mythosaur
armor.
on it. Yeah, very Chekhov's armor.
So she just places it like a plate on his chest.
Is it magnetic? That's what we need to find out. Maybe it connects.
But again, we don't do this. We're not armorers. We don't do this for a living.
Maybe she tucks tucks it into his little cute furry jacket. But yeah, it doesn't look secure to me.
So we go over to the search party. That includes Paz, which you can find out why he's so interested in going on this little
minorly interested.
He's a very stoic guy. And Din, they arrive at the bird's lair, and then they're like, hey, let's wait it out. Let's not go right now. Let's, in fact, wait another night. So now it's going to be 24 hours before they go and challenge this bird. Just keep track of that time. So the first thing they do is like, it's time to camp. And around the campfire, the food's coming out. And Bo, who is, again, very disconnected from her Mandalorian identity, her culture, is like, strolls over to Din, is like, how does it work with eating? Like, what do we do? And Din is like, everybody just kind of goes off on their own to eat, so nobody can see
Okay,
it.
so we're adding another layer here to this Mandalorian lore. It's like, so you can take your helmet off near other people as long as they are not looking at you and you are not looking at them. But we have also seen people eat and drink
that's my personal favorite.
Yeah, you just want to see someone eat a slice
method.
of pizza like under the helmet.
And Bo's about to head off, but then Paz is like, no, you're the war party leader. You get to eat by the fire. That's like your honor, so that's pretty cool. Now, Chris and Saul, super producers Chris and Saul had a good question, which I think we're all thinking about, because.
Let's ask it. Let's ask it now. Question.
Because soon after this, Paz is like, hey, P.S., I know it's been now a day since we've been on this hunt to get this kid back. P.S., it's my kid.
It's my kid.
So that's why I'm here. So, right. So if, let's say that is his biological child. He fathered a child with another Mandalorian, perhaps. You leave armor. What happens? Does it stay on? Does it come off?
Do you take the helmet off?
Right. Is it just bumper cars? Is that what's going on?
What is the situation here? Is there like flaps and like
we need to know. Yeah.
Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni.
Dave and John, I know you've thought. Don't sit there and tell me you haven't thought about it.
Give us a call. We need to understand.
We got to know what happens. So then it's the next morning. Again, 24 hours since this child has been in the clutches of the bird. Paz is like, hey, if we try to fight the bird, it'll kill the boy. Because that's what's happened before.
Oh my gosh! How many others, my friend?
He says that it's happened before when it has taken others. Which
so now we've gone from one to others.
To potentially, single digits. Hey, Mandalorians, can we set up some auto cannons or something?
Can you make your kids sleep in the cave?
High frequency something that it just chases away the bird. Why are we just letting people get snatched up by birds all the time? Anyway, the bottom line is stealth. Got to be stealthy. You have to sneak up on the bird. So they use their wrist cables. They scale the cliffs. It is very hard work. But again, Bo has done this. She's been doing it.
She's chilling.
They they had the really long grapnel cables. Shouts to the armor. Thank you very much. P.S. She's in the forge, which is the heart of Mandalorian culture. She made those grapnels.
They're very important to Mandalorian culture, those grappling
So
hooks.
they get up to, I don't know what I was expecting, but it is exactly what it should have been, which is a fucking huge
bird's nest.
It's a giant ass.
It's very dark
nest.
Crystal.
And
very
then
Skeksis.
Din goes to heat mode and is like, hey, I see a heat source.
Yeah.
On the other, about 50 yards into the nest.
I feel like you guys should have been using that before you got to the nest to kind of work out where you were meant to be
Paz
going.
is like, that's my son, and I fucking care now, and I'm going to run over, and I'm going to get...
He's like, I've got gas in my jetpack now, baby.
But guess what? It's just 3 massive
giant
bird babies.
Baby bird dragons.
Bird
They're
babies.
really cute.
And just as the bird babies are emerging from the straw, the mommy returns and immediately vomits the kid up. To which the only question that needs to be asked at this point is, has this child been in this bird's belly?
For 24 hours at least.
And wow, the Beskar is good shit.
Can I just say,
if that is the case, Beskar is strong.
Would you ever, well, it is the center of Mandalorian culture, Jason.
Yes, right.
But would you ever forgive your dad if you found out that he was just chilling at a campfire, eating dinner while you were being digested?
I know we could go right now to
when
the
they
bird
might be
nest.
asleep.
But let's go tomorrow morning. And then after we go tomorrow morning, let's then camp out for another 12 hours, then go at dawn the next morning.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about at least 48 hours in that bird's belly.
Yeah, but if you're going to get murked by a bird, then are you really the stuff of Mandalorians? You know, like, you've got to prove it.
I feel you. It's like he's going to have to live with that shame for the rest of his life. He did also get beat by the baby.
Like, what a 24 hours for this child. Got beat by a baby, flat, and the baby cheated. I'm just going to say it. The baby fucking cheated.
And then everyone backed the baby.
Everyone backed the baby. Was like, yeah, fuck it. 3 shots in 1 round. Yeah, that's fine.
And his dad shaded him because he said to him, "You don't speak if you don't know."
Yeah,
like he did something wrong. Like,
then eaten by a bird.
Delightful.
24 hours in a bird's belly. Dad,
just eat innocent food.
Not really a rush to save him. And then Dad almost gets his ass kicked by baby birds, but that's neither here nor there. The mama bird freaks out that there's all these armored Mandalorians in its home next to its babies.
Who she's just trying to feed, by the way.
Just trying to feed. Like, obviously you want to get the kid back, but it's just
it's nature.
It's just doing its motherly instinct thing. It grabs the kid in its taloned foot and it flies off. The Mandalorians give chase, and luckily they have gas this time. And they remember when they said, like, don't shoot it because it'll eat the kid? Now they're doing everything. They're shooting cables at it. They're shooting nets at it. They're flying up and trying to stab it in the eye with knives.
They're just like, you know what? Lose the kid. We got to kill the bird. Like, whatever happens.
Kill this bird. And
organizational problems.
Eventually, they get the bird to let go of the kid. Din manages to, jetpack down and snatch him up before the kid hits the water. The mama bird, sadly, does hit the water and is quickly swallowed up by one of those crocodiles that we saw in episode 1. R.I.P. to the mama bird. Again, just trying to save
the kid. I just want to say something as well. You're telling me, that a better plan wouldn't have just been find a mama bird while she's flying, holding the kid, shoot her so that she lets go of the kid, and then one of you uses the jetpack to catch her. I'm saying this is very Walking Dead logic. You did 25 things to get back to the thing.
At the very least, we didn't need to wait a day.
Exactly. Even the baby fell asleep. He was like, that was a terrible idea.
We didn't need to wait a day. Also, like, why are we never using the stun feature in our blasters? Only, can we set to stun a few times? Not just when we're shooting Princess Leia. Anyway, we head back to the covert. Everybody's happy, as they should be, including Grogu. They go to meet Bo's ship. The war party comes out, and everybody's cheering, and Din goes over, picks up Grogu, like, we did it, we killed a mama bird.
Yeah, baby!
It's
like,
dead.
It's okay!
It's dead!
We killed this bird that probably wouldn't have attacked us if we'd have camped anywhere else except for this extremely dangerous lake.
And the armorer comes out, and she's like, Bo-Katan, you have honored your house and all of Mandalore. You have done the highest honor of the creed. Saving a foundling. This is the way. This is the way. This is the way. All around.
This is the way, baby.
And Bo says, guess what? We got more foundlings. Wait, what? That's right. The 3 babies who you thought were orphaned. You thought they were just going to starve to death? No.
Bo said absolutely not.
Bo said absolutely not. This is kind of fucked up what we did. And I'm thankful for Bo for this. We are taking these 3 big baby birds in, and you know what's going to happen. We're going to see Mandalorians riding
these
sick,
like
birds.
dragon birds. Absolutely. I just want to say, though, I agree. I'm glad Bo did this. I was cheering when those giant baby dragon birds came out of the ship. I love the idea that you'd have to make helmets for them. It's great. But this does speak to another issue with the Mandalorian
There's a lot
culture.
of kidnapping.
Lot of kidnapping. Lots of murdering a parent and then being like, I shall raise you now.
It's a lot of kidnapping.
It's going to end badly for them.
Well, to be fair, the Jedi's flat out kidnap as well.
Exactly the same.
Like,
it's a cultural problem throughout the galaxy.
It's a very, very cultural problem. A lot of kidnapping. The armorer then takes Bo into the Forge, which is the heart of Mandalorian culture, to do some repairs on her armor. And Bo is like, looks at the mythosaur bust on the wall and is like, hey, mythosaur. And armor's like, yeah, mythosaur. And she's like, you know what? Since you're doing these repairs and I need a new pauldron, can you make me a mythosaur pauldron? I think that, and the armor's like, that's fucking great. I love that. That's,
she's like, any Mandalorian can wear one. And that's a big moment for Bo on that kind of reconnecting with the more contemporary Mandalorian culture.
And then Bo is like, let me ask you a question. What would you say if I told you I saw a mythosaur. I saw one. And the armor is just like, I'd say you were very lucky. And Bo's like, no. You don't get it.
Like I really saw
Like
one.
a
Not like a
actual,
vision. Like a real one.
Like a real one. Like I didn't have a dream. This was like a real myth. Like I saw it. And the armor is just like very flatly, okay, great.
This is the way.
That's good. I'm going to go to the bathroom.
The armor is just like, this is the way.
No reaction. Can I get any kind of Bo must be like, what? Like, can I get no holy shit, the mythosaurs are back?
Nope.
Nothing?
I know. I wonder when she said this is the way, it's like, it's such a heavy line because it's like, does she not believe Bo? Is what she's actually saying like, this is
Bo
the way?
must be so confused now.
Yeah, exactly. Because she's expecting that everyone's going to be like, oh my God, this is it. But maybe the armorer's acceptance is just like, well, yeah, that's the way. Now you're going to ride the mythosaur and Mandalore's going to rise again. But it is like so funny
Bo
how absolutely flat.
Just flat. Bo must have been like, why did I keep this secret for like, who knows, a week, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Like,
why didn't I just tell
why
Din?
didn't I just tell anybody? Because the armor is just like, okay.
I mean, Bo could have told
great.
them around the campfire.
Okay.
They probably would have been more into it. The armor is not bothered. The armor is like,
They
where's the
can't
Beskar?
because they all walk away from each other. They can't have that conversation.
Guys.
Hey, so I don't know where anybody is, but I just want to say I saw a mythosaur.
Who said that?
Who is that? This is Bo. Why do you think the armor is the armor? Did she just like know it's back, or was she expecting it? What is this reaction?
I think the armorer's whole thing is kind of like led by preordained Mandalorian kind of lore and belief. So to her, it's like, okay, this woman that I never saw, who was never part of our covert, has now appeared. And suddenly she's also seen a mythosaur. Well, she was down in the mines of Mandalore. You know what else can I say? This is the way. Like, I guess she's just gonna. I think that hints that she accepts that the mythosaurs are back, and probably that Bo. Maybe she thinks it's Din, but I think in the way she speaks about Bo's probably going to be the one who rides.
Let me ask you, Armor. If I'm Bo, I'm like, Armor, why the fuck are we still hanging out here? The planet is open for business. We can go back. And P.S. packed with Beskar.
So much Beskar. We talked about this the other day. Like, why aren't they going there mining that Beskar? Why isn't there even just 2 people who got sent there? Yeah, I mean, the armorer, like, probably what would she say to you? She'd be like, this is the way. That's like all she has to say.
Now, there are some hostiles in the area. Like, that's going to happen. But you guys are heavily armed.
And the Mandalorians love to kill a creature.
To kill a creature.
They'll just be happy to do it.
They've been doing it
every episode.
They've been doing it every episode.
Every
They've
episode.
been slaughtering mother birds and
cool crocodiles
that are just trying to eat. Just go. Why don't you do it on your homeworld?
I know it does. I do wonder. This might be reading too much into it because I feel like the armor is still a very enigmatic figure. But it does feel like the armor has a reason to not go. Back
what
to
is
Mandalore.
the reason?
That's what I want to know because I feel like Din went there. Din was redeemed, so you must believe that Din went into the living waters in the mines of Mandalore. If that is the case, surely you would immediately just send an exploratory group there, unless there was a reason you didn't want to go. And that's what I'm kind of most interested in.
There must be a reason, or maybe it's the fact, maybe it's that some of the coverts still aren't like sold on it's not radioactive anymore or something, but like why not just go back?
But then why let Bo and Din in? Because surely they'd make you sick. You know, I think it's very mysterious. How many episodes is this season? Because I feel like they're going to start to need 8 episodes. So we're halfway through at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to start to need, they have to start to ramp up the answers to some of these questions. As everyone knows, I'm a big fan of the sequential kind of pulpy style. Like you could go and see it in a cinema on a Saturday morning, or you watch on Saturday morning TV. So I like these kind of adventures. I love to see Carl Weathers back directing again.
Yeah.
Always the legend, having the most fun making this show. But I feel like halfway through the season, are they going to go back to Mandalore?
They have to.
What happened with that kind of Andorian kind of cloning Snoke hint situation? Like there's many different threads. And I'm very interested to see whether the second half of this season is just going to be tying them up.
It feels like we end with the recolonization of Mandalore. Like, they're going home. They have to go home at some point. You can't stay on this fucking bird-infested, crocodile-infested
They're worried about their
planet.
numbers, and yet they're staying on this planet where multiple people are getting eaten.
What's it make the nest out of? Where are the trees?
It makes it with the bones of all the Mandalorians it's eaten. Because there's others.
These questions and more will be answered on a weekly basis right here on the X-Ray Vision program as we cover The Mandalorian Season 3. Up next, Nerd Out.
In today's Nerd Out, where you tell us what you love and why, or a theory that you're excited to share, Sean from Maryland has his own theory in reply to a previous theory from listener Swati and Emily about the increasing number of Mandalorian recruits, which is very relevant to this episode.
Sean says he's a longtime listener, first-time emailer. Quote, heard the latest fan theory posted by your listeners. The easiest explanation for the large number of recruits might be this. They are leftover clones. Since the clones are based on Jango Fett's DNA, they could be genetically Mandalorian. They would all be older and former troopers, which would also explain why they sucked so bad in fighting the crocodile.
The crocodile disrespect will never end.
You know what? I would not be shocked if, like, at least a handful of these Mandalorians are Jango clones.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really great idea. Not just necessarily because of like the idea of genetic Mandalorians, but the whole point of Mandalorians is that anyone can join and take the creed.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that you would end up with soldiers and people who had left or escaped the Empire, putting on the helmet, never having to be seen again, not having to be recognized, being able to start a new life. I think that's very smart, actually. It's a very smart take. And I think there's also like, I know we had a lot of jokes this episode because it's like a very funny situation, but like there's something emotionally weighty and moving there that could be explored. And that's kind of the thing that Star Wars does so well, especially expanding out in these stories about clones, about Mandalore and the wider world.
Well, I think, you know, with the inclusion of Keller and Beck and Ahmed Best, it is really a continuation of the kind of philosophy that Dave Filoni has taken when approaching this material, which is how do we fix the bad stuff?
Yeah.
How do we fix it?
And in the Ahmed Best casting, it's about fixing something that happened in the real world, which adds this kind of meta text. So I think there's something very interesting there. I would be sad to know that those wonderful, you know, people who had tried to find a new place, these troopers who were used in a way that they didn't have much consent, would end up in the Mandalore. Yeah, exactly. He agrees with me. That they would end up in the Mandalorian sect and immediately die by being beaten by a crocodile. That breaks my heart. But I hope that if that is the case, that we might get to learn a little bit more about their stories, because I think that's a great theory. Thank you, Sean. If you have theories or passions that you want to share, hit us up at xray@crooked.com. Instructions in the show notes.
That is it for us. Rosie, any plugs? Plugs.
Plugs. Oh, you can find me here. I have a newsletter that I started that's going to be a lot of recommendations, because I get a lot of requests for recommendations by our listeners, and I don't have time, unfortunately, to reply to them. So I'm going to be recommending books and comics and maybe some TV and film. It's called Rosie Recommends. The lovely Saul will put it in the show notes. Also, I'll just say you should watch Shadow and Bone if you haven't watched it. It's on Netflix. I love it. This season they added some really great new cast members like Louis Tan and kind of really heavy, cool martial arts action. And it's just a really fun, inclusive fantasy series. Also, if you're excited for Yellowjackets, you can check out my primer coverage over at IGN, where I've been writing a ton about season 1 and what to expect for season 2.
Catch the next episode on Wednesday, March 29th for our catch-up horror-themed episode, including our discussion of the premiere of Yellowjackets season 2. And don't forget, we're bringing you 2 episodes a week. That's twice the tinfoil hat theories, twice the deep dives, twice the everything. X-Ray Vision podcast, Wednesday and Fridays, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, and you can also go to YouTube and subscribe to X-Ray Vision there. You can see full episodes. You can see us messing around with this beautiful baby. And you can follow us at XRVPod on Twitter. Exactly. And check out the Discord to meet tons of amazing fans and listeners. And me and Jason are there.
5-star ratings, 5-star reviews. We love them. We got to have them. You got to give them to us. Here's one from Smith Cakes. Obsessed with this podcast. Thank you, Smith.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Jason and Rosie are amazingly knowledgeable and passionate. I find myself listening to their episodes about stuff I don't even watch just because I love them so much. Thank you, Smith.
Thank you. Means the world.
See you next time.
Bye.
Hey, Mike, this is his not from ring. Yeah, I just want to talk about the Mandalorian team today. They got I'm a alumnus from the Mandalorian University. I just gotta say, they got a 5-star recruit that you're gonna go crazy for. His name is Grogu. Don't look at his stats, Mike, because if you look at his stats, you're gonna be like, what's so special about this kid? He's 10 inches tall. He's 53 years old. With a 4-inch wingspan on the arms. But, Mike, this kid, the agility, you're not gonna believe. He does flips. This kid's doing full flips. Over, back, forward. He's choking people. It's against and the referees love him, Mike. That's the other thing. You watch his AAU games, this kid's taking 5 steps on every drive, and the referees are just like, fuck it, it's fine. I'll take my hands off the air, Mike. Thank you.